Hey there, Tiffany Thomas with WealthyTiffany.com, and in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about how much you're losing in fees when you are investing in the stock market. And before we dive in, if you are ready for financial freedom right now, comment freedom below in the comments. And if you are serious about fast tracking your financial freedom, then click the link below this video in the description and I can help you do that. All right, let's talk about how much you are losing in fees when you're investing in the stock market, because I feel like a lot of people don't realize how much they are actually paying in fees and how that really affects their retirement or their financial independence. So if you are looking to retire early, you really want to watch those fees, because if you keep those fees really low, then you can retire even earlier. But if you have high fees, then you're going to have to wait. It could add an extra year or two or more if you are paying more in fees than you really need to be paying. And just to break this down a little bit for you, so when you are investing in a 401k, for example, there are different funds that you can choose from. So you'll choose a fund, and all of those funds have an expense ratio tied to them. And a lot of people actually don't realize that. They think they aren't paying anything in fees because their plan is set up through their employer, and they're not seeing that money come out. It's not a line item on your statement on your 401k. It's included in the fund that you're investing in. So that expense ratio is tied to every fund, and you want to make sure and keep that as low as possible. And to just give you a comparison, I have an IRA set up at Vanguard, and a fund that I invest in is the Total Stock Market Fund with Vanguard, and that has a 0.05% ratio. And when I had my full-time job, I had options. There were different funds in my 401k that I could choose from. And a lot of those were 1% expense ratios, or even just maybe right below that, maybe a 0.9% expense ratio. They were really high compared to 0.05%. So when you are taking a look at all of your investments, you want to make sure and invest in items that are going to have a really low expense ratio and keep your fees as low as possible. And that includes, if you are working with a financial planner, you want to make sure and keep that fee as low as possible. So usually I would say not to go with someone who's taking a percentage of your money. So they have just a flat fee that they charge, maybe an hourly fee, rather than taking out a whole percentage of your investments, because when your investments grow over time, you're going to be paying more to that financial advisor over time because they're taking a percentage of what you have invested. So we want to keep the fees as low as possible. And I want to do a little screen share with you guys so that I can show you exactly what I'm talking about. And you can kind of see the comparison when you're investing in a fund that's, maybe 0.05% expense ratio versus a 1% expense ratio. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so I went to this website. It's called 401kfee.com, and I'll put a link to this below the video in the description so you can kind of play around with this. But all you do is click on employees once you come to the website, and then it has this awesome calculator, and we're just going to kind of compare exactly how much it really affects us when we have higher fees versus lower fees. To give you an example, we're going to enter an 8 in this top box, and this is the return that we think we are going to get on our investments. So on average, the stock market has returned around 8%, so that's the assumed investment return that we're going to use. And then down here, current total fees. So this is the percentage in fees that you are paying right now. And we are going to say that we're paying 1% in fees. And then the lower fee option, so if we were going to switch over to something else to invest in, this would be our new percentage that we would enter. So this is going to be 0.03%. And I want to show you kind of where I'm getting this example from. So I went to Vanguard.com. This is where I have some of my accounts set up. So all I did was click on investing, and then went over here to Vanguard ETFs. So you can invest, in ETFs or mutual funds, index funds, individual stocks, bonds, whatever. But I just want to show you an example. So I pulled up the list of ETFs and I scrolled down. So this one, the total stock market ETF, is a pretty popular ETF. And you can see over here in this column, the expense ratio column, the expense ratio for this fund, for this ETF, is 0.03%. So that's where I'm getting the 0.03%. And you can see, if you look at some of these other funds, some are 0.035%, 0.09%, 0.07%. So they're all relatively low. But since this one is so popular, I put in 0.03% for our example. And then I'm going to enter in, let's say we already have maybe 200,000 in our investment accounts. So that would be if you were already investing in an IRA or a Roth IRA or 401k, whatever your balance is for all of your accounts that you have investments in, you have money in. You want to put in your current account balance. So I put in 200,000, and then annual contribution. Let's say we are maxing out our Roth IRA at $6,000. So that would be $500 a month that we're putting in toward our investments. And let's say we are 24, and we'll just say we want to retire at age 65. And then I'll just hit calculate, and this is going to tell us how much money we can be saving by investing in an index fund or an ETF that has a 0.03% expense ratio versus that 1% expense ratio, which I have seen in quite a few different 401k plans. A lot of those funds are around 1%. So let's hit calculate. And you can see, right, so $1.8 million is how much the fees could be costing you if you continue to invest in a fund that charges a 1% expense ratio versus a fund that only charges 0.03%. So for your working career, that one small expense ratio is costing you over $1 million. It's crazy to me. We can look at the other numbers that they're showing us down here. So if you would have paid lower fees, then you would have saved over $6 million. And if you continue to pay those higher fees, then you would have saved over $4 million. And just to give you kind of a breakdown, so this higher retirement plan fee at the 1% is costing you over $8,000, $8,472 every single year. Can you think of something better you would like to do with $8,000 a year? I can think of a lot of things. I'm thinking a vacation would be great. There's a lot of different things you could do with $8,000 a year. And if you were to leave it at this 1% expense ratio, you would have to increase your investing by $14,000 every year to get down to just that lower expense ratio at 0.03%. So if you decided not to switch your investments to a fund that has a lower expense ratio, then you would need to invest over $14,000 a year just to make up for that, which is huge. So I wanted to show you this breakdown just because I think it's so important. People don't realize how much they are really paying in fees, because a 1% fee doesn't sound like that much money, but when you look at it over the life of your career, your working career, and you can see that it's a difference of over $1.8 million. That's a huge difference. So you guys, you can definitely go to this calculator and play around with your own numbers, enter in how much you already have invested, take a look at the funds that you're invested in, whether that's through a 401k or through an IRA, and look to see how much money you are losing out on by paying higher fees. Hopefully this kind of gives you a better understanding and gives you a better grasp on how important it is to keep your fees as low as possible. Okay, hopefully that was helpful and you can really see how important it is to keep your fees as low as possible. Whether you are investing on your own and you have different funds to choose from through a 401k, you want to look at those expense ratios, make sure they're as low as possible. If you are setting up an account maybe at Vanguard and selecting funds to invest in there, take a look at those expense ratios, keep them as low as possible. And if you are wanting to work with a financial planner, really watch out for their fees because they can be really high. And I would say stay away from those that charge a percentage, and just work with those that charge a flat fee, because your investments will grow over time. And if they're taking a percentage of your money, of what you have invested, then that's going to grow over time. So that's a good chunk of change that's taken out of your investments, really holding you back from retiring even earlier. So let's pay attention to those fees. And if you guys found this video helpful, please like it and share it with someone else who needs to hear this information. And if you guys have other ideas about different content that you want me to create for you, please put that in the comments below. I love creating videos for you guys. And please subscribe to my channel. Just hit the subscribe button. That will really help me out. And if you are serious about fast-tracking your financial freedom, click the link below this video in the description and I can help you do that. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks.